Tom Downey here once again for Bengals Breakdown. We start off with some very positive news for Cincinnati. Trey Hendrickson, amid his trade request, was actually present at Bengals workouts on Monday, which I view as an absolute win for Cincinnati. Here's what Hendrickson said. I'm like, okay, you had the trade request. Why are you here? He said, quote, "Nothing can replicate a team like football. When you get a group of guys like this that selfishly play for each other, it's special. And I don't want to be a part of why it's not like that." Coming back, like I said, was a no-brainer to build the foundation of what this team will look like. If you are glad that Hendrickson is back with the Bengals after it didn't even last a month, trade request, then like today's video right now. Every single person I think watching should like it. I think it's an absolutely positive thing. I take this as a clear sign that a Hendrickson trade is not going to happen. I never thought it was going to happen in the first place. You can go back and watch our initial video. You know, when the agent says, he might retire, I go, okay, you can't demand a new contract or trade or retire. Pick two. Like, you can't do that. This is the voluntary stage of workouts. This is not like a mandatory minicamp, training camp. Hendrickson doesn't have to be here. And frankly, I didn't expect him to be there after the trade request. I didn't think he'd be present. I thought he'd show up in time for week 1 and training camp and all that stuff. So I think it's a huge deal he's back now because this team needs him. They need his pass rush ability. They don't have, especially at edge, the proven horses to get after Lamar Jackson, get after Russell Wilson or maybe Justin Fields, after Deshaun Watson or whatever other quarterback comes in once the injury happens. Hendrickson is a critical part of this defense. Without him, this pass rushing group, defensive end room goes from, okay, it's pretty darn good to, Sam Hubbard coming off his own injury, good run stopper, okay pass rusher. Myles Murphy, I'm excited for, but he didn't do much last season. Joseph Ossai, Cam Sample, Cedric Johnson. Those guys are fine if they're your 4 to 6 or whatever, but if they're your 3 or your 2, it gets a little bit dicey. I get why Hendrickson wants a new contract. The edge market has skyrocketed. Hendrickson continuously puts up some of the best pressure and sack numbers in football. He's due $15 million in cash this year. That's it. $16 million next year. We might do this whole thing over again around this time next season, if not beforehand. But he's got 2 years left on his contract. The Bengals were not going to trade him. He was going to be back. It was always a question of what does 2025 look like for a team that, to an extent, has pushed their chips in for this season. Is this Hendrickson's final year in Cincinnati? Y for yes, N for no. Go ahead and get those predictions in at the pinned comment of today's video. Let's move to the potentiality of signing one Marcus Peters. Bleacher Report said corner was a top need for the Bengals, and I get that part, and said they should sign Marcus Peters. Here's the argument from BR. Chidobe Awuzie has one loss the Bengals might not be fully prepared to replace. Cam Taylor Britt and DJ Turner might be ready to lead the cornerback room, but it's always nice to have a solid vet in the rotation. The Bengals might want to give Marcus Peters the chance to take over that role. His tenure in Las Vegas didn't work out, but he's a veteran with a lot of AFC North experience as a former Raven. As a note, the Bleacher Report loves the AFC North experience angle right now. Just kind of hilarious. I have thoughts on this, but first, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You're picking 2 to 6 player stat projections and more than or less than on those. Get them all right, you hit the power play. Or do what I always do, go for the flex play. The payout's not as big. That is okay because you can still get one wrong and come out on top. You get 3 chances at something to get, if 4 chances to get 3 right, 3 to get 2 right. I like those chances pretty good. And it worked really well for me in the NFL regular season and into the NBA postseason as well. Here's my Prize Pick slate for this evening. I've got Anthony Edwards, bounce back game. Timberwolves going to play well, I hope, even with Mike Conley's Achilles flaring up on him. More than 40.5 points, boards, and assists for Ant. Isaiah Hartenstein, I think, will play a key role, but he has not hit that 24-point rebound assist mark consistently. I like the less than there. Josh Hart, I'm going more than 33.5 points, boards, and assists. I think that frenetic energy comes through in a positive way again for New York. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's video. So back to Peters and the Bengals and cornerback room, right? I don't actually disagree with the idea of adding a veteran corner. I do believe in Cam Taylor-Britt, CTB as corner one. Love Mike Hilton there in the nickel. I am optimistic that some combination of DJ Turner, Dax Hill, and or Josh Newton can lock down outside corner 2 and 3. But I wouldn't be mad if they added a veteran corner, at least if it's a good veteran corner. And therein lies the rub. Is Peters actually a good option? At this stage in his career, I'm not so sure. Here are the numbers. He got cut by the Raiders midseason. He has always been a bit of a feast or famine playmaker, right? Bunch of interceptions in 2019, 2020, had the injuries in 2022, hasn't played a full 16-game or 17-game season in a very long time. The completion percentage has crept up every year. The yards per even snap, target coverage snap, whatever, have gone up as well. The TDs dropped, I guess, in 2023, but the plays on the ball have regressed as well. Nobody signed him after he got cut. His age, the clear decline in play, I'm not that interested. I think this is kind of Bleacher Report falling for the name brand of Marcus Peters. And that name brand has fallen off as far as I'm concerned. So would you sign Marcus Peters? S for sign, P for pass. Go vote in the comments section. The NFL schedule release, depending on when you watch, is roughly 24 hours away. And we know one game. It is, I think, what CBS basically called their marquee game, which is Bengals at the Chiefs. Bengals looking to avenge a couple losses in a row here. Unlike previous matchups, which were almost always in December and January and even late January with the playoff runs, this one's early in the season, week 2. And I actually don't mind getting this one out of the way early. The Bengals and Burrow usually start slow. Underrated angle, their September record the past 3 years, pretty similar to the Chiefs' September mark, by the way. So I don't mind getting that game out of the way early. And I think CBS wanted to avoid the risk of, Joe Burrow or Mahomes, I guess, getting hurt down the stretch this season. The last 5 matchups, they've almost all been great games. 2023 with no Burrow, not as appealing. 2022 playoffs was a field goal game. 2022 regular season, a playoff or a field goal game won by the Bengals. 2021 playoff game, field goal win in overtime by the Bengals. 2021 regular season, field goal game win by the Bengals. The Chiefs are a 4-point favorite. These are always field goal games when the quarterbacks are healthy. And even then, it was still a 1-score game, technically, last season. I might take the Bengals to cover because it's a tough game to expect them to win on the road early in the year, but they play close games. Now, because we hired Stone, who will be back, I promise you guys, hosting in the near future, but getting trained up on all the other stuff he's got to do, we will have Bengals watch parties for you this year. So we will be live for that Bengals-Chiefs game. And all the other games this year in the regular season, hit that sub button, youtube.com/BengalsTV. I want to mention one undrafted free agent getting some love from PFF. It's Maema Njongmeta, the Wisconsin linebacker. He was named the top UDFA to watch for Cincinnati this upcoming season, which I am very intrigued by in terms of how he fits with what the Bengals have on the roster. So here's the argument for PFF and why they think he's the top UDFA to watch for the Bengals. Njongmeta has been a force at linebacker for Wisconsin over the last 2 years with 146 tackles over 26 games. He earned a 76.7 grade in 2023 and an excellent 80.5 grade in 2022. Njongmeta could feasibly be a real special teams asset for the Bengals. I have thoughts on this. Before we get to that, how many UDFAs do you think end up making the Bengals roster? Punter could be one, maybe 1 or 2 more. Get those predictions in for me in the comment section right now. I would not be surprised if one of the UDFAs who make the roster for Cincinnati play on special teams and are at linebacker. Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, Akeem Davis-Gaither, I think are locks. Pick 2 of Joe Bacci, Devin Harper, Shaka Hayward, Aaron Casey, and Njongmeta. And I do really like the special teams angle mentioned by PFF. If you're going to carve out a back end of the roster role, especially as a UDFA, you've got to help on special teams. And being a good athlete, which Njongmeta is not, is a big factor in that. To put it in perspective, by the way, beyond the athletic ability, why I don't like Njongmeta over Aaron Casey. Aaron Casey, the other UDFA at linebacker, had 600 special team snaps at Indiana. It's a massive figure. Njongmeta had 88. That's it. I have no idea if he is good on special teams. So preseason will matter here, but I actually give the edge to Aaron Casey because of the proven experience.